You have your work cut out for you. That's a phrase of yours. Contemplate it. You've been what you've been through for a reason. Is to find out what inappropriate choices are. Because you birds like choices. Peace to all beings. You've seen an egg and an egg yolk in the shell. That's what you are now. The shell, the albumin, the yolk. And your breath. That's all that's yours. Water isn't yours. You've got bones and flesh. That's all that's yours. That's all. The spirit is willing, the flesh is weak. You've heard that. Why is it weak? It's your flesh, your spirit. The spirit is willing, the flesh is weak. The spirit is strong, the flesh is weak. You're not talking to the spirit of yourself. There's a consciousness going around where everyone is complaining about someone doing something to them. What you're responding to. You're going to have to consider appropriate behavior and presence amongst others soon. Because what is going to happen if you don't maintain peace and the understanding of an eggshell and the yolk in the middle? You will crack from the inside out. Because you're having a convergence now of your own spiritual force integrating with the flesh of you that you built. You built it. And if you're suffering within the building, it's because of the lack of thankfulness for the building. The structure called you. You're going to learn the importance of the flexibility of your knees the strength of your shins and your thighs, your backbone. Because that's where you really are. In your world you have 7 chakras, you say, yet you only have 3, really. The one that's opening of the 3 is the one that's included with the solar plexus, the heart chakra in the throat. When they open together, it draws the heart to the center. You notice your heart's to the left. Yet the pictures of your Christ, the Virgin Mother, Masters, the heart's in the center. So we know where your thinking is because of the position of your heart. Those of us that can see. And there's a tendency now for it to move to the center. Why? To comfort the inner self. That's why. In the construct that you are in, you are living your death, yet don't appreciate the understanding of it. Upon waking in the morning, thankful you have more life. In space and time. Because you don't know where you were when you were sleeping, what you were doing, where you were hiding, what little secret game you were playing. That's going to manifest. The conscience clearing has to take place in the dream state that you play. Your healing takes place in the dream state. So you can't interfere with it. With your self-imposed arrogance. You're seeing now traditions of minding everyone else's business except your own. It's going to bring a better world. Yeah, your one world government thing. You have to understand. If you want to understand life, that you are it. And you are setting the example as how life should be lived for the little ones. They see you as the example. And if you are their example, what do you expect from them? Nothing more than what you've done. Can't. Because you don't know what it is like to do something different for yourself and the sustenance of others. You're not there yet. You're in your coffins of selfishness. The bodies were given to you as a precious vehicle. Sacred tool, actually. And the condition in the human has ruined it, pretty much. Because you don't know how to shift through your personalities at 48 to be pleasant or present. You're truly worried about being present. Because you forgot where your source is that connects the 4 chambers of your heart, which beats 4. And the beat of the heart is hallelujah. Hallelujah. 4. Acknowledgement of where you came from. Because you were before your bones. And you knew it when you saw your fetus in your mother's womb. But you don't remember. There were no bones there. When you talk about bones, you're going back to the prophet Ezekiel. And if you knew who he was and what he was communicating and what he was told, you'd understand yourself. Because he was told to prophesy to the bones, call them out of the earth to join. Prophecy meant command. You don't have to do that part. You're in the part where the overlays of the flesh and the sinew occurred. Because you didn't do the bone part. You're doing the overlay parts. The show-offnesses of self. Overlays. You need to shrink back into yourself and appreciate the one that gave you bone. It was your mother. Taught you how to do it. That thankfulness will resonate in your bones, gives them strength. Because it's an inner knowledge received, yet not comprehended in what you term is the manifestation process, from nothing to something. From 0 to 1. And here's another thing you must remember. You weren't the egg in your mother's womb. You were the sperm that swam to the egg. Or the second, what it's called, a desire for fulfillment. And upon entering was the relaxation phase for you swimming upstream. At that point you were contemplating a moment of what you would term birthing in eternity. Because you had no structure. So you will realize you came out of the manifested thought of your father. Encased in the swimming of the sperm, unification with the egg. They gave you bones. A little bit more of yourself must be understood in the fantasy of your father. You're the one that excited it. In answer to what you would say, they were prayers or thoughts. One of the reasons we won't cover that right now. Later. We'll cover it now. One of the reasons you beings have so much difficulty with prayers is you're going forward into it. You should think backwards, back up into, see if you're worthy to be allowed to pray. One. And then you'll be turned around in a one particular direction, either to the left or the right. Or that will be the part of you that knows the secret part of communication by prayer and with prayer for purpose. Peace to all beings. The force you say is God sent you here for a reason. The reason was to accomplish your will. Pleasingly so, you have a birth. And you have had experiences you set up before the birth to proceed. Out of realms that are not physical to conscious realms, both physical and in between. If you want to know a little bit more of yourself in your death process, look at the volunteers in hospice. You take one through, over, to, without the fear, understand. It's guidance, guardianship, which is really what you're on this planet for, to guide and guard those that don't know. Those willing to learn a little bit more than common construct. You have dignities that at times have labels and titles, which you can be finding to be difficult to live up to sometimes, or most of the time impossible to live up to. And then it becomes overbearing and the overlording starts. And you forgot you're building your overlays. And you're burying yourself in your chambers. You only have 4 chambers. Father has many mansions, but you only have 4 chambers. 4. Your right auricle, your right ventricle, your left ventricle, and your left auricle. That's all you have. And then the secret one you don't know about yet is the joining of all the chambers. There's a cave in there where the light of you exists. Little brilliant white light that builds for you instantly. Blinks on and off. And your self. The magic of the self is going to have to do something now. Why? So you receive your confirmation about it. You'll know whether you did it correctly, incorrectly. Usually when things are done incorrectly, it's surrounded by excuses. Easy to tell. Usually if things are done with no confidence, they want everyone to comment about it. Confidence doesn't need compliments. It knows what it built. So you're in that arena now of yourself. This is the reflector-reflectee thing. But you'll get caught. You will get caught. Because the one that doesn't like you knows how to play with you. It is not a sincere being in your understanding of what your purposeful and sincerity means. Yours. So you're learning that. It's called discernment. Solomon had to learn it. That's why David continued. Finished. He gave you the answer. It's the Lord's Prayer. Said with space. So you can contemplate and appreciate the moment of yourself without dialogue. And you can receive. And there's a reason it ends with amen. Those are beings. There's 7 of them. 1 for each of your chakras. The amen comes out of the chakra when the chakra understands the purpose of the amen. The thankfulness of it. And then the 7 have their reunion with what you term the 49th personality, which is your descending self, acknowledging the ascending self, being cognizant with it at the present time and moment and space as a human. Without damage to anyone. And then you'll find out that you're really on a secret mission. With joy and understanding and humility. And your space will change. And for those of you that will understand this movement, as your space changes, it becomes more cordoned off as what you will allow toward you. I didn't mean near you. I said toward you. You'll start picking up presences that you can deflect. Phone's busy. I'm taking a moment for myself. You're going to need to do that more often in a waking manner, walking manner, eyes open manner, in a meditative place. So you'd be working, walking, talking, and what you would understand would be normally understood by you a meditation. That be more cognizant of what you say. Why? For who? For what? This is the entry level of bodhisattva training. You do it while you're still physical. So when you transition, you can transition the pieces toward you. Actually call them. Is what you do. Because they remember the meditations that you have been in, and it's a memory pattern established for movement. Peace to all beings. Honor thyself and thy mother. Understand the influence you had on your father. Ask permission to receive that knowledge. Apply it appropriately without judgment. You will see your shame in that. realize it, understand it, correct it, don't do it again. That's basically the process of reincarnation. Yet it's speeding up now because the spirit forces are coming accumulated. If you could see these forces, you wouldn't do some of the things you're doing with some of the things that you're doing them with. Because you don't see who's sitting in there. Or who put them in there. That's not in your abilities. It's in your abilities, you're not don't look in that way. I will tell you this, there are ones that do not want you to succeed. I will tell you that much, you know it. So take charge of the success of yourself within the self. And breathe and be thankful. Because that's what gets you through the next one. The thankfulness you didn't get caught in the last one. The human condition is going through an interview process, selectively and individually and group-wise. See if you're capable of understanding and applying. You will know if you are successful in it because you will be continuing. If you are unsuccessful, you will not be. And you will know it. You won't be able to move. Because the spiritual forces will not be with you to move you. There's that separation coming on now. Cautious. This affects the brain. Because right now, your brains have been trained by your mind, which is behind you. You've gone through those experiences, those are mind experiences. Memories, emotional tags. You're getting a new awareness in the brain. It's time to utilize that, not for the old stuff. The recognition of the brain is present, so are you. The recognition of a newness every moment. So, as you understand you're living your death, you're also living more life. Thankfully. And you take pleasure in seeing the birds fly and nature move. Because you realize it's really moving through you all of the time. Not just around you, or in front of you, or back of you, or behind you. Through you. That's where you are now in your consciousness evolution. The understanding and the perfection that nature has. And you're feeling the result of man's influence there. That's what you're feeling. And it's just starting. And this is where you move back into yourself and what is termed esoterically as a slow bake within yourself. So the metal and the nourishment, the consciousness of you becomes solid in you. And you can walk with dignity and impunity as you develop yourself. Amongst others. For that's the trick. The The gurus should be teaching gurus to guru other gurus, not become a guru. You already are a guru. Look what you've done with it. Fix it, because only you can, the way you wish it to be fixed, because only you can. And it takes prayers and understanding of the spiritual forces that you are truly working with, and not someone's interpretation. You only occur that in alone moments. Not in counseling sessions. The reason we have said before, the secret is in the space between the words. Different countries think differently, process data differently. Even though they both understand the same dictionary value of the word, the interpretation is different in the scheduling of the sentence structure. But you're not aware of that yet. You're caught in the word of it, the definition of it, instead of the flavor and the color, the nuance of the heart of the speaker. That's because you've been caught before. Not being aware of who you were talking to. Were intrigued, caught, fumbled, and had to start over. Once you know that, focus, don't fumble again, because you know what caused it. You need the confirmation of who you're communicating with in the spiritual world. Holy books and prayers disturb the demonic forces, push them away from them. And what you'll find when you find a good prayer, you'll be hearing voices asking you what it means, this word means, what's that mean, what's that mean? Tell them to sit. You already know what it means. Sit. Don't get into a discussion. The devil knows these words better than you do. Knows what it means inside and out. Knows how the carousel moves. And for what reasons. You're here on this planet to find out who you really are, not who somebody else is. You already know who somebody else was. And that is your teacher, if you really paid attention. Because this has been going on for a long time. It didn't just start yesterday. Where do you find out that you're going to have to support yourself without funds, coin? You don't want to be around when the birds have to deliver your food for you. Because only the prophets are going to make it through that one. You want to be conscious every moment now of what you're doing, thinking, eating, and applying. You need to. The cosmic clock is spinning faster now. That means space will change. That means your aura is going to change. That means the physical body is going to alter to adjust to it. And that means your yoke is going to change within you. And that yoke is called the respect of God. Two, four, all of the words. Because when it hits and sealed, that's what you're going to display. You can't change it once it's sealed on you. And everybody's going to know the worth of it without saying anything. And you'll be in a groupings of same vibration, so there'll be no judgment. That's how it works. You're in that class now. It actually started 2 months ago. Separation of consciousness of what are you really doing, do you know? Get a hold of yourselves. That happened 2 months ago to everyone. Whether they listened or had a cognizant connection with it or not, doesn't matter. You're in it. Peace, protection, and joy. Health to the body, mind, and spirit. And watch who is playing with your rib cage, for that is a musical instrument. This is a dangerous time for the physical body. The fingers might not work correctly unless you flex on the toes also. The knees and the legs and the muscles need to be moved. You've got to remember that this is you in there. Peace to all beings. Shields up. You're going to need to review Psalm 6 again, particularly use verse 10, which asks that all your enemies be suddenly ashamed in all realms, here and above. That clears your space. Yet you need to use the first verse to clear yourself. And that's admitting your iniquities. I suggest you cover that psalm individually, each of you. It'll take you through the next 2 weeks with a little bit more ease. Because right now the opportunity for everybody to find fault with something is there, and it's going to happen. Because they need to speak, even though they don't know what they're saying or why. It's a repressed ego trying to identify itself in itself. It's not always pleasant. That's what you're feeling around you now. The expression of it is coming forth in the next 2 weeks. Your auras are getting stronger and thicker, so you're picking it up already, and now you're going to have to filter it even more. Peace to all beings. Calms the space. And then perhaps you can start a conversation. I'm not joking. Things are going to, your phrase, heat up dramatically. Health, body, mind, and spirit. Peace, protection, and joy to all the children. To all those you have responsibility for, domes of protection. And if you have responsibility for life, toward it, you better assume it, because you will not like the repercussions if you don't. Shields up, peace to all beings. If you think you're feeling confused now in this world you're walking in, I suggest you unconfuse yourself, because this next level is going to be even more confusing. Huh? I'll tell you a little bit and then I'll be leaving. But you're going to see your parents, what you did to them when they were your children. And then you'll understand the why of it. So you have to fix that. That's where the shame is. Because you forgot. You are allowed to forget. So you could have sort of a pleasant time without those memories dragging you down. Now you know part of it. You're responsible for your own self and the outcome of it. You know it. You didn't do it, you didn't do it. Because you couldn't. Didn't want to. But some have. Fortunately for you. So you know it can be done. Piece at a time. Piece at a time. Piece at a time. I want you right now to all of you send kind thoughts to your mother, wherever she is. I want you to calm the mind of your father, wherever he is, and understand the influence you had there from without. Peace to all beings. And when you do, this gives you the opportunity to heal it. Not just for yourself, but for others in your family. These are how things work. Without the guilt compress, which is so often used. Eventually you'll clean your own self. You'll figure it out. That you're worthy of it. Because that's the only thing stopping you. Your self-worth. Self-worth is a self-worth of self-worth. It's known as worthiness. And it's within each and every one of you. Just expecting your sense of worthiness to be appreciated by everybody else whenever you want it doesn't work that way. Eventually you're learning the dignity of yourself. And we'll walk that way and apply it. We are through.